typically in a real purifying time is not really based on any change in life. So mostly changes in life, like illness or new jobs or moving or whatever occurs, changes in your lifestyle or relationships, those are not purifying events in the spiritual process, even if you are on the spiritual path. And what I'm talking about on those events is like you have a change in your life and you have to figure out how to work with it, how to cooperate with it, what's the best way to get through it or take it on or live in it or accept it or change it or get help or whatever. You got to figure those things out. And like I said, that's another event that can occur to someone who's on the spiritual path, but that's not a purifying event. A lot of people want to think life-threatening experiences, whether through loved ones or themselves, or separations or trauma to the body, can be spiritual events. I don't really agree with that. I just feel this is a time you have to get your cookies lined up. So, you lose your job, did you have any savings, right? So then you have to say, well, I should have had some savings for at least a month to get through this. So different things that are just a natural part of being intelligent about your living. And so you get to a crisis event and you realize that, I don't know what I'm doing at all. And so you have to start figuring it out. The spiritual crisis I'm talking about is when your life is already in a working order, no crisis events are occurring, but you get up and you just don't want to love the divine. You just don't care about it, you're mad, you feel all these reactive emotions, and there's no reason for any of it. There's no best friend's dying scenario, your arm's not falling off due to whatever disease you have, nothing's happening. You just get up and you have no feeling sense for your practice. No sense of wanting to be a practitioner. Those are the spiritual crisis days. So you all have any questions about why they're different? No, you don't understand it, or?
No, no question.
Okay. So, like you're having a life event, and somebody else in this room who's holding to their practice might be having a spiritual crisis, which are different. The spiritual crisis, the life event change just says, well, figure it out. What are you going to do to make it work for you now? What kind of decisions are you making? What are you going to put in place? What are you going to try? All those kind of decisions you have to make. And how you make them and what you do with them, the course of how it goes, becomes evident. Now, the spiritual crisis has, like I said, has nothing to do with the life plan. Anything's changed. You get the same day and you just don't feel it. You just feel mad and annoyed. And so that's the kind of day I'm talking about in the process. Those kind of days. What do you do in those days? Of course, everybody says, well, do japa more, or don't give up. Don't go out and start, doing whatever, smoking a lot of dope that day, or whatever people do to distract themselves with dopamine hits. And if your practice has been tight enough that you don't get distracted by dopamine hits, which I mean just, going on the internet all the time and checking out this and checking out that, or always thinking about your next favorite cookie to eat, or what all the things people do to get a sense that, okay, I don't have to feel myself and feel the lack of divinity, or I don't have to feel the patriarchy, I don't have to feel the world, I can just get dopamine hits all day long. Now, someone is doing that, it's not particularly in the spiritual path, I would say. And that they only are not really, particularly on the spiritual path, they're not in the spiritual crisis either. Now, spiritual crisis is really different. It's really when you have held to your form and to your conviction towards your love for the divine and your impulse towards awakening, and you have a really crappy, bottom-out emotional day. I'm talking about that. I don't know if any of you have experienced that.
Yeah.
Okay, there's one bump there. Okay, what about those days? Well, I think we talked about it in the class a bit, but the thing is, when you have one of those days, recognize it's one of those days And that's a purifying moment in your process. If you recognize that, you're halfway through. So you'll feel all this kind of desire and impulse to throw it off, to throw off your love for the divine, to throw off your practice, to go back and get a dopamine hit by doing a bunch of dopamine hit things, you know, or I don't know, whatever. But basically, if you endure it, all you have to do is endure it, and the purification will take place. And then once you endure it, it will lift. And what you'll find is, oh, the sky really is blue, and I so love the divine. All the feeling will come back, and it will come back deeper. So that's the clue of it. You have to recognize it to get through it. If you don't recognize it, you really won't get through it. You will try to just hold yourself in some kind of stupefying moment while you're all crabby and mean, and then you'll probably try to go to distraction and go to dopamine hits. Basically, to get even to a place where you have a spiritual crisis, that means you've built up enough energy with your practice that energy wants to clean up things in your subtle body, in your physical subtle body. It wants to clean it up. So it's like a vacuum cleaner comes in and stirs up everything. And you're like, oh my God, I'm just full of crap. I'm just awful. I feel so mean and angry, and I'm mad about the divine even. And if you recognize what that is, and you don't run away from it, you face it. You don't run away from it. You don't try to get distracted with dopamine hits and a big bowl of ice cream and then a big bad TV show and then talking to your friends on the phone all night. You don't do anything like that, then it will just disappear, because it's a cleaning moment. It's a purifying moment. It's not like you're a bad person moment and you're gonna face it. It's not like that. It's not like your best friend says you're an asshole. It's not like that. It's not like that. It's based on your work and your love for the divine. The divine says, okay, you've been with me, I love you. I'm just gonna clean up some things right now, and it's gonna feel kind of bad. So if it feels bad for a while, you know, don't do it, you know, stay with me, it'll clear. So then you'll have a cleaner house, a cleaner room, and you'll see and feel that the cleanliness as your own divinity. All right?